Peace to all, and the praises due to God Allah, and may God and His angels send blessings upon the Prophet Muhammad. Today I will be reading and explaining chapter 106 of the Quran Surah Quraysh. It reads as follows: At least for the favor of making Quraysh habitually secure in their trading caravan to Yemen in the winter and Syria in the summer, let them worship the Lord of this sacred house, who has fed them against hunger and made them secure against fear. Chapter Overview, verse 1-2, reminding Quraysh of the blessing of safe travel during their winter and summer trade journeys. Verse 3, commanding the Quraysh to worship Allah alone in gratitude for the immense favors bestowed upon them. Verse 4, reminding them of the blessings of security from fear and provision from hunger due to the sanctity of the Kaaba. This Meccan surah is a focused call to the tribe of Quraysh to practice monotheism. Its sole purpose is to remind them of the immense favor of safety and provision granted by Allah, the Lord of the Kaaba, and to command them to worship Him alone in gratitude for the protection of their trade journeys and their freedom from fear and hunger. The surah was revealed early in the Prophet's mission to address the Quraysh, who benefited uniquely from the sanctity of the Kaaba, which guaranteed their trade routes, but failed to acknowledge and worship the Lord of that house. Chronology. It is counted as the 29th surah in the order of revelation, revealed after Surat al-Teen and before al-Qari'ah. Name. The surah is known as Surat Quraysh, the tribe of Quraysh, as well as Surat Li-Lafi Quraysh, for the familiarity/security of Quraysh. Relation to previous surah. Ubay ibn Ka'b and Amr ibn al-Khattab reportedly regarded this surah and Surat al-Fal as one unit due to their close thematic link, though the final consensus separated them in the written and recited Quran. Period of revelation. Although Dahak and Kalbi regard Surah Quraysh as a Madani surah, a great majority of the commentators are agreed that it is Maki, and a manifest evidence of this are the words Rabba had al-Bayt, Lord of this house, in this surah itself. Had it been revealed at Medina, the words this house for the Kaaba could not be relevant. Moreover, its subject matter so closely relates to that of Surah Al-Fil that probably it was revealed immediately after it without any other surah intervening between them. On this basis exactly, some of the earliest scholars regard the two surahs as one entity. This view is strengthened by the traditions which say that in the Quran, copy belonging to Ubay bin Ka'b, these two were written as one surah, without the insertion of the Bismillah between them. Furthermore, Umar had once recited the two surahs as one in the prayer. However, this view is not acceptable because in the Quran copy which Hadrat Uthman, may Allah bless him, had got written down officially by the cooperation of a large number of the companions and sent to the centers of Islamic lands, the Bismillah was written between these two surahs, and since then these two have been written as separate surahs in all the copies of the Quran everywhere in the world. Moreover, the style of the two surahs is so different that they manifestly appear as two separate surahs. Historical background. To understand the surah, well, it is essential that one should keep the historical background relevant to the contents of this surah and of Surah Al-Fil in view. The tribe of Quraysh was scattered throughout Hijaz until the time of Qusay bin Kilab, the ancestor of the Holy Prophet, upon whom be Allah's peace. First of all, Qusay gathered his tribe in Makkah, and this tribe was able to gain authority over the Kaaba. On that basis, Qusay was called Mujami, uniter, assembler, by his people. This man, by his sagacity and wisdom, founded a city-state in Makkah and made excellent arrangements for the welfare of the pilgrims coming from all over Arabia, with the result that the Quraysh were able to gain great influence among the Arabian tribes and lands. After Qusay, the offices of the state of Makkah were divided between his sons Abdi Manaf and Abd ad-Dar, but of the two, Abdi Manaf gained greater fame even during his father's lifetime and was held in high esteem throughout Arabia. Abdi Manaf had 4 sons, Hashim, Abdi Shams, al-Muttalib, and Naufal. Of these, Hashim, father of Abdul Muttalib and grandfather of the Holy Prophet, first conceived the idea to take part in the trade that passed between the eastern countries and Syria and Egypt through Arabia, and also to purchase the necessities of life for the Arabians so that the tribes living by the trade route bought these from them, and the merchants living in the interior of the country were attracted to the market of Makkah. This was the time when the Sasanian kingdom of Iran had captured the international trade that was carried out between the northern lands and the eastern countries and Byzantine Empire through the Persian Gulf. This had boosted up the trade activity on the trade route leading from southern Arabia to Syria and Egypt along the Red Sea coast. As against the other Arabian caravans, the Quraysh had the advantage that the tribes on the route held them in high esteem on account of them being keepers of the Kaaba. The tribes stood indebted to them for the great generosity with which the Quraysh treated them in the Hajj season. That is why the Quraysh felt no fear that their caravans would be robbed or harmed anywhere on the way. The tribes on the way did not even charge them the heavy transit taxes that they demanded from the other caravans. Hashim, taking advantage of this, prepared the trade scheme and made his 3 brothers partners in it. Thus, Hashim obtained trade privileges from the Ghassanid king of Syria, Abdi Shams from the Negus, al-Muttalib from the Yemenite nobles, and Naufal from the governments of Iraq and Iran, and their trade began to flourish. That is how the 4 brothers became famous as traders and began to be called Ashab al-Ilaf, generators of love and affection, on account of their friendly relations with the tribes and states of the surrounding lands. Because of their business relations with Syria, Egypt, Iraq, Iran, Yemen, and Abyssinia, the Quraysh came across opportunities, and their direct contact with the culture and civilization of different countries greatly enhanced the level of their knowledge and wisdom, such that no tribe in Arabia could match and equal them. In regards to wealth and worldly goods, they became the most affluent tribe, and Makkah became the most important commercial center of the Arabian Peninsula. Another great advantage that accrued from these international relations was that they brought from Iraq tile script, which later was used for writing down the Quran. No other Arabian tribe could boast of so many literate people as the Quraysh could. For these very reasons, the Holy Prophet, upon whom be peace, said, "Quraysh are the leaders of men." Musnad Ahmad, Marwiyat Amr bin al-As. And according to a tradition from Hadrat Ali and Baihaqi, the Holy Prophet said, "First the leadership of the Arabians was in the hands of the people of Himyar, then Allah withdrew it from them and gave it to Quraysh." The Quraysh were thus prospering and flourishing when the event of Abraha's invasion of Makkah took place. Had Abraham at that time succeeded in taking this holy city and destroying the Kaaba, the glory and renown of not only the Quraysh but of the Kaaba itself would have faded away. The belief of the pre-Islamic Arabia that the house indeed was Allah's house would have been shattered, and the high esteem in which Quraysh were held for being keepers of the house throughout the country would have been tarnished. Then, after the Abyssinian advance to Makkah, the Byzantium also would have taken the initiative to gain control over the trade route between Syria and Makkah, and the Quraysh would have been reduced to a plight worse than that in which they were involved before Qusay bin Kilab. But when Allah showed this manifestation of His power, that the swarms of birds destroyed 60,000 Abyssinian troops brought by Abraham by pelting them with stones, and from Makkah to Yaman they went on falling and dying by the wayside, the faith of the Arabs that the Kaaba indeed was Allah's house increased manifold, and the glory and renown of Quraysh too was enhanced considerably throughout the country. Now the Arabs were convinced that they were under Allah's special favor. Therefore, they visited every part of Arabia fearlessly and passed through every land with their trade caravans unharmed. Armed, no one could dare touch them with an evil intention, let alone touching the Quraysh. Even if they had a non-Qurayshite under their protection, he too was allowed to pass unharmed, as all this was well known in the time of the Holy Prophet's appointment to prophethood. There was no need to mention it in the Surah. That is why in the 4 brief sentences of this Surah, Quraysh were simply asked to consider, when you yourselves acknowledge this house, that is the Kaaba, to be Allah's house, and not of the idols, and when you fully well know that it is Allah alone who has granted you peace by virtue of this house, made your trade and commerce flourish, and saving you from destitution, favored you with prosperity, you should then worship and serve Him alone. This concludes the chapter. See you next time, and may Allah keep us safe.